This is going to be a look at one of the Ravens' run concepts that really frustrated and befuddled the Patriots' defense in their Week 3 win on the road, and then a look back at how the Bills were able to solve this riddle quite easily in the Bills' 17-3 win, playoff win in the divisional round over the Ravens in 2020. So what I'm going to do is show one of the plays against the Patriots, how it worked out, and talk about the edge defenders that I believe Lamar is reading, go through some historical uses of the play, 2021, 2020 film, show the different options so that you, as the listener or the viewer, can become a little more familiar with the concept. But I think at this point we're all quite familiar, or we should be, after the Ravens used it, to such effect against the Patriots. I was really shocked that the Patriots did not have a better plan for dealing with QB counter read. And when I say better, I mean something that was decisive. If you know that an option play is coming, sometimes it's in your best interest to force a particular read. Let me give you an example. Let's say Justice Hill and Lamar Jackson are in the backfield, and you know that an option play is coming. Of course, the defense doesn't know at all times, right? But let's just say for the purpose of this argument or this discussion that we know that it's coming. What are you going to do? You're going to force Lamar to give the ball to Justice Hill. Justice Hill proved in that game that he's capable of making plays, cutting the ball back. I think he had a 34-yard run. I think he had another 11-yard run and 2 9-yard runs, or maybe one. So he's a capable guy, but certainly doesn't have the explosiveness, the ability to bust a 79-yard touchdown run like Lamar Jackson does. Going to show you some film of Lamar hitting home runs on this concept. Not going to show the play against the Dolphins from week 2 for a lot of reasons. The main one is it wasn't QB counter read. It was QB power read. Okay, so a different concept, different formation. And I'm going to try to explain, and maybe I've beat this horse, pretty badly over the last 2 days, 3 days, and even over the last 12 months. I've talked about this concept a lot. And the final play that I'm going to show you today will be the Bills stopping this with a very simple call. A very simple defensive stunt, I should say. So this is a keep that Lamar bounces over the left side. Wise is trying to play this the fundamental way. He's trying to knock this in and force Lamar to run through a condensed hole after, J.K. crosses his face and he keeps it, forcing Lamar to run through a condensed hole, but he's not dealing with a typical person. He's dealing with Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson just bounces it outside easily. Had to be frustrating because this is the fundamental way that you're, quote, supposed to play it. He's actually kind of wrong arming it now that I look at it again. So he's actually kind of opening it up because his back is to the sidelines. So that might be one of the reasons why Lamar bounced it. But you can see the design of the play is such that Lamar is supposed to hit it behind this pulling tackle after he's read that Matthew Judon is not capable of stopping him from keeping it running in the other direction. You will get one example of against the Chiefs in 2001 in this video of Lamar giving the ball to the running back. It happened to be Devonta Freeman's first carry of the season, or first carry for the Ravens at all in 2021. All right. Some 2020 film. One of the things that is indicative of the QB counter read, or what some people call bash, is the running back is on the same side as a slot receiver, or in this case, a tight end. Now, sometimes that tight end is lined up a little wider. I think I'm going to give you one play showing that to you, but we are not going to run this if Andrews stays on this top side. We're not going to run QB counter read. Why? Because if Dobbins crosses face and this edge player up here, gives him a keep read, we don't have someone to block a second level guy up here if someone was to fill. Okay, so I'm gonna let the guy motion through and hopefully be able to talk you through this. This is a touchdown run by Lamar, obviously, where he throws the ball up against the back of the end zone. So as he comes over, they bring this other defender because they're in man. So you can see they're creating a 7-man box, playing straight cover 0 on our 4 receivers. Well, our 3 receivers and our 1 tight end. Eagles linebackers play this incredibly poorly, but as we get the end zone angle, I'm going to focus on the read man and what I believe the Eagles are trying to do. So the read man, as J.K. crosses Lamar's face, is the D end on the opposite side. So if he runs upfield, theoretically he should be able to tackle J.K. Dobbins for a loss quite easily. So Lamar's going to keep it behind the pulling left guard and the pulling left tackle, which in this case is Ronnie Stanley. DN kind of veers at Lamar and then goes back out to Dobbins. So Lamar keeps it. whatever he's taught to read it, he chose to keep it, and it worked out great. Brandon Graham is trying to wrong arm this. Ronnie Stanley kicks him out. So you can see where this hits up inside, underneath of the kick out block by the center, which I think was Skura, and then kind of behind the pulling lineman, which in this case was Ronnie Stanley. 2021 film. Now, I just said something that you may say, hey, Coach, hold on a second. You got a problem here. I'm going to let this run, and I'm going to pull it back. I'm going to explain a couple things. I've talked about this play before in a couple of other film study videos that I did. Why are we doing this? Why are we having Devonta Freeman go from the pistol? Why doesn't he just line up with his feet here? Because we're trying to not give away our attentions. We are aware of the fact that the Chiefs are aware of our tendencies. So watch what this outside linebacker and this DN Chris Jones do, and then what this hybrid safety linebacker does as soon as we go into Joker. So as soon as Freeman goes next to Lamar, now the guy who's going to block for the running back potentially is Ricard. And the guy who would block potentially for Lamar, if Lamar keeps it and then goes out in the other direction, the guy who would block on the front side is this slot tight end. So you basically have the reverse angle view of the play that I just showed you a moment ago. Hopefully I said that in a way that makes sense. You get the end zone angle so you can see it as well. Defenses are very aware of the circumstances by which we're going to run certain plays. The Eagles, a moment ago, I just showed you, they had a guy go in motion or go with Andrews when Andrews went in motion. Watch what this outside linebacker, this D-end, and then this safety do to respond to this play. Ricard is essentially going to be a lead blocker for Freeman. He's basically a receiver / tight end who would normally be lined up, somewhere in this area. I know you guys have a frame that you're dealing with over there, but he'd be lined up somewhere in that area between the right tackle and the number one receiver to that side. What the Chiefs are trying to do unsuccessfully is they're trying to slam these guys down a gap, Chris Jones down a gap, and they're trying to slam him down a gap, forcing a give read by Lamar because there's no DN theoretically to tackle Devonta Freeman, and then they're trying to gap exchange it or scrape exchange it with this inside linebacker running over the top, and then the safety who's off screen, I don't think you can see his feet, spinning downhill as well, trying to create a funnel, a force player and an inside-out alley player. So essentially they're trying to keep the ball out of Lamar's hands by the read man stemming down violently, essentially running to the left inside shoulder of Lamar, understanding that, hey, the give should be here. Well, it's not. Sorensen and the inside linebacker are supposed to handle that guy. Unfortunately, inside linebacker, not very disciplined, didn't take a good angle. Freeman ends up getting a lot of space underneath of that kick-out block by Ricard. So the concept is deadly even when you know it's coming. So I'm going to talk about formation predictability a little bit here. I'm going to pull this back. We're in empty originally. You can see Washington has an inside linebacker out here, so it looks like they're in man. Now, as we motion over here, here's my contention. We are not going to run QB counter read because that would involve us keeping it behind, possibly keeping it behind the pulling right guard and right tackle, and there's no number 2 guy over here to block. Since it's trips, I'm telling you, I know that this is, well, it could be a pass play, right? But if it is a run concept, it's going to be QB power read. So the running back crossing face, the left guard pulling and possibly wrapping, and then Lamar keeping it to the same side as where the running back is going. I probably should have let this play run initially. Forgive me for the explanation. Not sure if I hit on all the points that'll make sense to you. Yeah, this is one of those plays where it looks like Lamar could be reading the inside linebacker, because if he's reading this D-end is stepping down violently to attack him, and the give to the tailback going out in this direction should be available. I contend, and other people as well, MC or Abu Kari on Twitter and a few others have contended that we think sometimes he's reading the inside linebacker. This is a gap exchange, just like I explained to you a minute ago what the Chiefs were trying to do. The D-end is stemming down violently to take quarterback, and I suspect that this inside linebacker is responsible for the sweep to the running back, along with these guys out here who have blockers to deal with. If I didn't explain that in a way that makes sense, let me know. You got the left guard pulling. You will see the end zone angle here, by the way. I just want to touch on something. We're building to a point here with the Bills and what they did in 2020 and how prepared I think their defense is going to be. We're not going to run QB counter read with Lamar possibly keeping it and running it to the side because we don't have a second player to block off screen to our left in the slot, what is essentially the number 2 receiver. We don't have a number 2 receiver because we're in trips to the right. So what that means is we have 3 receivers to our right, off screen to our right, and we have 1 backside here to the left. In my opinion, we will never run QB counter read back to that 1 receiver side because the way our offensive coordinator looks at it, I've never heard him say this. I'm perceiving this based upon consistent watching of our plays and when and where we attack. He does not feel like we can run that play successfully if we don't have a number 2 guy out there to block. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, so in this case, Lamar is reading, supposed to be reading that D end. I think this should be a give. It's also possible he's reading the inside linebacker. Again, on that scrape exchange, the D end and the linebacker are just scrape exchanging this or gap exchanging this, whatever you want to call it. But it's a predetermined gap exchange whenever there's a mesh. In this particular call, whatever their call is. Ours was zebra. It just meant, usually it meant zone away. We're going to gap exchange it, but zebra became our call for anything to gap exchange. All right, building to a point here. If you stuck around this long, please stick around. And if I haven't done a good job explaining, let me know. There is no running back here. So the read guy in terms of possibly giving it is going to be Duvernay. And then Lamar is going to run the QB counter read back up to the top side of your screen, the boundary side, in the opposite direction of the flow where Duvernay is motioning. Great play by Justin Leonard. One of the indicators for this play concept oftentimes is that it's third down. Think of Lamar's touchdown run against the Patriots the other day that sealed the game. It was 3rd and 1. So you can see Lamar is reading as Duvernay goes through here. We got the pulling lineman, Powers. Villanueva. Powers actually gets an awesome block here. You'll see it from the end zone angle. And then he gets tracked down from behind by, I guess it's Shaq Leonard now, right? All right, so he's reading this D end, or he should be. This D end clearly stepped upfield, but the Colts were prepared. As he's running upfield, Leonard is running underneath here. It's a beautiful call by them for the situation. Again, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4. They see certain characteristics that indicate to them that it is going to be QB power read, and so they have a particular call in. Now, I'm going to come back to this one, or refer to it, I should say, when I talk about what the Bills did in 2020, the year before, because the Bills do the same exact thing, but they do it in the opposite manner. You can see Leonard chasing him down from behind. Why was he able to do that? Well, he was able to do that because he understood the play that was happening. Him and the D end essentially exchanged gaps, but they did it in the opposite manner of the previous 2 times I tried to describe this. The outside player went in second, and the inside player, in this case the D end, went upfield first. And then what that did was it gave Leonard the ability to track it down from behind because he was already running at that particular angle. Great play, great concept. All right, one more time, Patriots play, so you can familiarize yourself with it, and then we'll get to the Bills play. If you hung on this long and you want to complain that it took me this long to get to the Bills concept and what they did, that's fine. I was trying to build to a point, and honestly, I think very highly of Leslie Frazier and all the guys that run the Bills defense. So this is 2020 playoff film. This is going to be a sack. It's an incredibly well-executed stunt by the boundary side inside linebacker Matt Milano and the boundary side corner for the Bills. They end up bringing the corner off the edge on motion. They did this 3 times, I think, in that first half that I remember, and we really had trouble with it. You can see this corner is blitzing free. Matt Milano has disappeared off screen to our left because he went with the guy in motion. This, in terms of the inside linebacker running with motion, is something that the Bengals do as well. All right, so that sets up our play. 2nd and 20. Interesting because normally to run QB counter read, it's like 3rd and 3. It's like 3rd and 4. Got to give credit to the Bills defense. Incredibly prepared. This is Taron Johnson down here. I think this is Edmonds, the Mike. And then this is Matt Milano. I just did a film study on Matt Milano a couple of weeks ago. Incredible player. Very well prepared. All right, I'm going to try to talk you through this and explain to you why I think they recognize it. Here's how they recognize it, in my opinion. You've got Andrews on the side of the back. So when the back crosses face, okay, again, I said they're not going to run QB counter read if we had 3 down here to the bottom. So if we had 1, 2, and then Andrews was down here, we're not going to run QB counter read back to the top side. We're going to run QB power read down here, and Lamar's going to threaten off tackle the same side as the sweep threat goes to. In this case, the sweep threat goes to our left, the bottom side of our screen, and Lamar would keep it behind the pulling right guard and right tackle. He would keep it, and now he would threaten the opposite side, the boundary side, the top side of your screen. What's the call that the Bills are doing? The exact opposite of what the Colts did. Remember the Colts I showed you? They ran the D end upfield, and this was Shaq Leonard. He ran inside of that second and then chased Lamar down from behind. Same exact scenario. Running back was on the offense's right, the defense's left, right? Lamar was reading that D end for the Colts. And since that D end runs upfield, that's a keep read for Lamar. And then Leonard tracks it down from behind. You also had a safety over here on this right side do a great job. What do the Bills do? They do the exact opposite. The D end runs at Lamar. In my opinion, this should have been a give read. But I also think this might illustrate how smart Lamar is. As you get the end zone angle, hopefully we get a good view of it. Taron Johnson is going to be off screen to our left. So Lamar, I think, is reading this D end, or should be. That D end is slamming down violently. To me, this should be a give read, but there's a problem. If Lamar gives this football, Taron Johnson's on a blitz as well. He's got an easy opportunity for a tackle for loss on J.K. Dobbins. Now, it's also possible J.K. Dobbins, slips out of there. He's an elusive runner. They'll pull this back to the all-22 angle, let you see it again. This is how smart the Bills' defense is. They're prepared for this play in a different situation. It's 2nd and 20. Normally it'd be 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, or like the Patriots game, Lamar's final touchdown that made it 37-26 the other day, 3rd and 1. This is 2nd and 20. They're incredibly well prepared. They're incredibly well coached. This is going to be a very difficult game because their defense is legit. I know they're missing, a safety and a corner, I believe. And I think they're missing a D tackle as well. But watch this blitz. They're bringing the D end away from the back. He's running at Lamar to force a give read to J.K. Dobbins. Simultaneous to that, they're bringing Taron Johnson off the edge for the running back. Why? Because they know the play. Because they understand the circumstances that indicate or tip off that the play is coming. So what we've got to do offensively is we've got to give them those circumstances. What are those circumstances that we think they're going to take advantage of? And then counter that or have something built in there to run to betray our tendencies. And our tendencies are a long time. Now simultaneous to this on the other side, you got Matt Milano on a blitz as well. So they're selling out to stop this play. Matt Milano is here off screen. No, he's not off screen. You can see him to our right. He's also coming on a blitz. This D end and this D end are just pinching down. It's kind of like the old, a little bit like the old Okie Dog pinch. Some people will call it. Some people call it 4-3 lightning. If you don't know what I mean, 4-3. This will be the Mike. Let's call, Milano the Sam. Taron Johnson is the nickel, but, he's off screen to our left. So let's call him and Milano mirrored positions, outside linebackers. I refer to them as inside linebackers, but it doesn't matter. So lightning is stem down, and then, replace with the outer gap, and then Taron Johnson replace with the outer gap. That's what I know about lightning, trying to make everything bounce, and they shut it down. Are the Bills going to be able to have answers for all of that? I mean, come on. Like, the Ravens' offense has evolved. Okay, so this is a little bit of a simplistic title. You guys know how I do things a little bit, right? I try to get your attention, try to get you in here. That particular play, QB counter read, has certain characteristics that we have shown on film repeatedly, dating back to 2020. The Bills did a great job identifying those circumstances and those indicators pre-snap, and then running their stunt to stop it. You certainly are not going to normally be bringing 6 on 2nd and 20, right? Especially when, to that point, we had already missed at least one field goal, I think. And I think we were getting ready to miss our second one. So, point is, the Bills are going to be very prepared. I think Leslie Frazier is still the defensive coordinator, longtime NFL coach. Think incredibly highly of him. I think they will have a plan for each thing that we have shown on film. It'll be the Ravens' offensive coach's job to do the same thing they did in the Patriots game, which is to do two things. One thing they did in the Patriots game, which is adjust mid-game or mid-early second quarter and try to have things prepared in case our initial plan doesn't work. And then let's back map a little bit. have an incredibly detailed uh, pregame plan, have an incredibly detailed offensive goal and things that we want to attack in certain places. With them missing a safety and a corner, I think it's Tre'Davious White and Hyde, Michael Hyde, I believe. Two great players. And I think they're missing a D tackle already. Just coming off a loss again, on the road against Miami. Now they got to come to Baltimore. A lot of flying back and forth. I don't think they're staying in Maryland. I haven't heard anything like that. Probably going back to Buffalo for a couple of days off and then practicing this week like most NFL teams. I think it's going to be an incredible challenge. I think our offense is up to the task. I do. We have a different style weaponry, in my opinion, than we had in 2020 game. Mark Andrews was just coming into his own. He's a totally different thing to deal with now, number one. Number two, we have Rashad Bateman. Marquise Brown was a fantastic player for the Ravens, but different type of player. And number three, we have a guy named Devin Duvernay who is winning third down matchups against man-to-man defense in a way that I don't remember Ravens receivers winning since a name that some of you are not going to like me mentioning, Anquan Bolden. Devin Duvernay's winning third down matchups against man with, he's won at least three of them, and I think there was a fourth one, a fourth third down conversion, maybe against the Jets over the middle. I don't remember a lot of our receivers winning third down matchups against man recently. Rashad Bateman's clearly capable. Mark Andrews has done it. I'm talking about receivers. Marquise Brown hardly ever or rarely ever did that. That's the difference, if you ask me, between Bateman, Duvernay, and Marquise Brown, and certainly wish Marquise Brown luck. He's off to a great start in terms of catches. Not necessarily yards per catch yet, but that'll probably come for him. Anyway, let me know what you think on my breakdown. It took me a long time to get to my point and hopefully show you an illustration of how prepared the Bills will be if we still have the same tendencies on film that we did in this playoff game in 2020. Appreciate you guys checking out the video. If you enjoyed this content or you think it's unique or interesting, please let me know in the comments section. And number one, and then number two, please consider sharing the video on social media to let other Ravens fans see it and form their own opinions. And then hopefully give me some feedback because I want to make the content better every day for you guys and for myself selfishly. Appreciate you guys' time. Thanks for checking the video out.